Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Capes Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, Robert Krisch. I don't know why I was so focused on saying the last name right that I stumbled on Robert. I don't know how that happened, but welcome to the stream, man. We are getting ready to break down Turner Family Terrors 1 through 3. The Suburban Slayers are back. His current Kickstarter that is running live right now, and everything in between. Welcome. How are you doing? And thank you for coming by, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is great. I'm doing awesome. We are rocking and rolling along with our month on Kickstarter. We are now, this is like day 29 out of 31, so I'm a little exhausted, but okay. I had a couple of shots of espresso, and I'm ready to geek out a little bit and finish the Kickstarter, and then on Saturday I'll probably sleep in. So
how many Kickstarters have you done up to this point, would you say?
So this is my 4th Kickstarter.
All right.
The first one I brought a short film, a horror film that I made called The Crows of Culver. And then after that, I released issues 1 and 2 of Turner Family Terrors. And the last campaign, we doubled our audience and doubled our funding. And this one, we have the most backers we've ever had, and we're getting close to our funding all-time record. So it's good. We're getting the word out, and people are reading the book and laughing at some jokes, and so it's good. It's all good fun.
So, what was your movie? You said you did a horror movie. Like, what was that about? And did you see a lot of that crowd come over to the comic side of things?
Yeah, a little bit. When I have been a television editor for the past 2 decades, and so I have been helping tell other people's stories. It's been a very creative career. But when I hit 40, I thought that, I had been writing stories, and, I just wanted to start producing some of my own work. Mm-hmm. And so the first project I worked on, it was a short film called The Crows of Culver. And it was like a verite, little 15-minute film, kind of a personal family nightmare. Mm-hmm. And that film did really well. We went to a bunch of film festivals, and it was sort of like my first time getting into, it was my first Kickstarter, and it was one of those things. It was just kind of like, what is this crowdfunding? And I was a little nervous about it. And it's one of those things, you get a point in your life where you just kind of screw it. I'm no fear, and just kind of go for it. And so we did our first Kickstarter, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. But it was cool. It was a good experience. And then we eventually released our first issue of Turner Family Terrors. Basically, with that short film, I wrote a bunch of stuff, but we were unable to, we were able to pull off maybe half of what I wrote, and the other half sort of was left on the cutting room floor. And I had all these stories and anecdotes and all these really crazy over-the-top situations that revolved around a suburban family and how they kind of navigate their own dysfunction, but in sort of a horror setting. Mm-hmm. And I soon figured out that the place that I needed to tell that story was with a graphic novel and with comic books. It was just it was obvious that, as long as I could work with an artist and kind of figure out the whole process of making a comic book, I could tell those stories. I could sort of let my imagination go wherever it wanted to go, and I could just tell whatever kind of crazy story I want.
Because you don't have to worry about props, right?
You don't have to worry about props. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about budgets. You could have worlds explode. You
Yeah,
could
and, like,
have crowd scenes.
actors, and you don't have to worry about paying for actors and stuff.
Yeah. So it's like it was really nice to kind of just let my imagination run wild and kind of just tell whatever story I wanted to tell. And so and people, when they read Turner Family Terrors, they'll get that sense, you know.
That's so awesome.
It's kind of out there.
So what was that creative process like, from writing a script like that to writing something like a comic, like how different was it for you, having that ability to kind of just do what you wanted now?
Well, for me, the fun thing about writing my first book a few years ago, it was like the challenge of figuring it out, because I can't draw. And so I was always I would ask people, I was like, how the hell do you make a comic book if you can't draw? Like, what's that you can't do it, right? And then I realized you could. And then for me, I am not really afraid to ask questions. Mm-hmm. And so I will go into my local comic book shop, and I would just start asking questions at cons as well, and Free Comic Book Day, and just telling people, I want to do this. I want to like adapt my stories mm-hmm. To the comic book medium. Like, how do I do it? And I just got some great advice. I got some great advice from, I'll give a shout out to Krisch at Pulp Fiction Comics in Culver City. She handed me a flyer, and I took a class that was taught by a former DC editor, Jim Higgins. And I learned a lot in his comic book writing class. And I got turned on to a Facebook group called Connecting Writers with Artists.
Okay.
And I highly recommend that group. It's cool. You go on that site and you can post what your project is, what your budget is, and you'll get the next day, a dozen, 24 artists from around the world, and you might be able to find one that works for you, and you can, be off to the races.
Yeah,
for me,
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's where I found my artist. His name is Alexander Bozic Ski. His nickname is Ski. I call him Ski. Mm-hmm. And the more I looked into his work, he did a really fantastic book called The Adventures of Cordelia Swift. It was written by Matt Garvey. And when I saw that book, it had like a really rich grave scale, black and white, kind of noir, moody look to it. But the characters were also, it was a little lighthearted with the mm-hmm. Illustrations. And so I knew that that was the look I wanted to go to have for Turner Family Terrors. I needed to have that kind of, black and white, is a monster lurking in the shadows kind of feel. But also someone needed to draw the humanity and of the family mm-hmm. and really kind of capture that. And so I contacted Ski, and he's in Novi Sad, Serbia, and we have had a collaborative creative relationship for 2.5, 3 years.
That's awesome.
And I've never spoken to him. And one day I'll call him, and we'll chat, and it'll be amazing. One day I'll go to Serbia and give him a big fat hug. Yeah. So it's been good. So, I just started down the process, mm-hmm. Learning how to write a script. And I studied a lot of scripts, but then I just asked Ski, I was like, well, how do you want me to write a script for you? And so I learned, I'm a very detail-oriented guy. So I read a lot of stuff on the page, a lot of description, panel descriptions, and I also add in like hyperlinks to images that inspire me.
That's a good idea.
I also create thumbnail sketches, and I put links to that in there. And so I fill up my page. All sorts of stuff with like everything that's in my head. But then, like at a certain point, what I learned pretty early on is that I just let go, and I give the script to him, and I basically give the comic to him, and it's now his baby, and I trust him, and he does an amazing job. And so I really lucked out hooking up with Ski, and I just got some pages back for issue 4 like 2 days ago.
Okay.
And like I'm in the heart of the Kickstarter right now, so I'm like out there hustling and trying to let everybody know to pre-order my book. But it was just really nice. I got 7 or 6 more pages of sketches for issue 4, the one that'll come out in 6 months or so. And it was nice to kind of have that creative experience, or just like look at this stuff and be like, yeah, well, this is what it's about. Like I'm seeing my story come to life. And so I gave him notes. There weren't that many, and sent it back to him. And so I'm just rambling.
No, you're fine. So interviews are supposed to be 20% me, 80% you, right? Like,
I can handle that.
So what's your idea of horror? Like, what makes a good horror to you? Like the elements of it, because there's so many different examples out there, right? Like, so what to you would be horror done correctly?
Well, there's classic horror that just scares the hell out of you. My favorite film was probably The Shining. Right now I'm trying to figure out, it's interesting because I have kids and my son is 10 years old. And so I'm trying to figure out some of these films that are like touchstones for me. When can I show them? When can I have that shared experience with my son? I don't know how old your kids are, but if they get to a certain point, and like there's one film like Jaws, I need to figure out like when can I watch Jaws with my kid, because there's like the kid gets eaten.
Yeah. Well, it's such an interesting like concept, isn't it? Like, because my daughter's turning 10 in August, and then my other son's 5, and then my other son's 4. So it's like one of those things like where you were probably, I was like 5 or 6 watching Child's Play as a kid. And it's like, that's not something I would want my little sons watching. But it's like, at what point, I don't know, like maybe my horror taste was because I was introduced to it as a kid. Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It's such a really skinny tightrope.
Yeah, I went back in 1980 when I was 5. My family was the first family on the block that got cable. So we had HBO and Showtime when those channels were like in their infancy and just kind of like figuring it out. So they would put on, the classic movies and popular movies, but they would also put on weird stuff from like Trauma releases. And so I would see all sorts of just crazy, scary stuff. The one that comes to mind for me is a film called The Children. Do you remember? Have you ever seen that?
The only children I can think of is Children of the Corn. Yeah,
so this is an obscure movie, and I was 5 years old, and it just scared the hell out of me. It's like a school bus full of children. They drives by a nuclear plant that's having like a radiation leak, and they all become like zombies.
Okay.
And one by one, the parents are trying to find their children, and a kid will pop up and it'll be like, mommy. And they'll hug their parents, and the parent will just disintegrate in front of them.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome, though.
So I was like watching that stuff, and but to get back to the comic, like I think for me and horror now, I love to be scared, but I love to laugh. And so for me, horror comedy is really kind of my jam, and my main influences, like films growing up, like Monster Squad, and the biggest influence for me is Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, and it's really that kind of classic black and white horror comedy or horror look crossed with an absurd, over the top comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really what I'm going for with my film or with my comic. And for me, my comic, the story, the kind of over the top story, is about a suburban family that's trying to navigate their own dysfunction and traverse the pitfalls of parenthood.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a personal story.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people that I am just like a bumbling dad that is trying his best to not piss off his wife and screw up his kids. So for me and Turner Family Terrors, I get to write about my stories. I get to joke around about my anecdotes, about my own frustrations, about my sadness, about my joys. But more importantly, I get to lean into the humor. I get to highlight those inappropriate situations that we all, as parents, like we find ourselves in.
Oh God, yes.
And I get to really like crank that humor up to 11. But with Turner Family Terrors, I get to layer on top monster stories and myth and mystery and action adventure and urban fantasy, but also like dick jokes and spit takes, you know? So you roll all that up and smoke it, and that's Turner Family Terrors.
So we have Olivia, Claire, and Dad, also known as DC Horn, fellow Facebook group member here. Elena over on Twitch saying hi. Hello, Elena. Welcome to the stream. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. And then we have David Schmelling over on YouTube saying, hello, everyone. I love grotesque humor. This comic sounds exciting. Yeah, that is awesome. This comic does sound exciting.
Sweet. Great to see you guys. I'm trying to toggle between the chats and stuff, and so
you're fine.
And not lose my train of thought. But
all right, so let's start breaking things down a little bit before diving into the Kickstarter. You know, why the suburban area? You know, what drove you to that kind of premise?
You were breaking up a little bit there. Is it why the suburban area?
Yeah. What drove you to using the suburban area as your concept?
I mean, that was pretty simple. It was. I draw a lot of my influence from my own family and from my own experience, and so it was easy for me to kind of have that as a starting point and be able to write these stories. When I have people read the issues, the one thing that they're telling me now, even though it's funny and it's scary a little bit, and the art is great, but they talk about how they relate to the family, and they can like get a sense of the sort of the heart of the story, and that's when I started making the comic, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Like, I had a few different ideas, and I had a different project that I was developing, and I had this grandiose world, but I didn't quite have the heart of the story nailed down. And so with Turner Family Terrors, I had that heart of the story. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with our main characters, and I knew I could make them real and make them funny and make them annoying and just do an entertaining. And so when I was weighing those two ideas, I quickly kind of put on the shelf this other thing that I had been workshopping for about 9 months. And I said, I'll hold off on that. I'm going to run with this other story because it's coming very natural. It's like, it's very natural to tell the story of four members of a family that love each other but are constantly pissed off at each other. and I just love playing with that whole theme. It's like our families are the people that we would like kill for, but they drive us the most crazy.
Oh my goodness. So you got a boy and a girl?
I do. Yeah.
My favorite thing is like always like One moment they're being nice, they're being cool. I caught my daughter. She wanted to do like a rainbow reading club where she was like teaching them how to read. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Then they're like stomping on each other, and it's like, oh my god, please stop! Like, what are you doing? We have J. Michael Miller over on YouTube saying the grotesque and the geekly. Welcome on by, Jay. How you doing? So let's start breaking down issue 1. Kind of give us a little bit of a summary on it, like what to expect with it.
Well, issue 1 is where basically for the first 2 issues of the series, we get to know the Turner family. We have a good bit of origin stories for our characters, and in the first issue, we kind of follow the mom, Laura Turner. She has found a modicum of happiness as a mom, suburban mom, but her husband gets fired from his job, so she has to go back into the workplace, and she gets a job at the local Cold War museum, and this is one of the places that I kind of take from my own personal experience. I live down the street from the Venda Cold War Museum. And so when I would kind of walk around the halls of the museum, you would see just some really interesting Soviet era artwork and East German like espionage gadgets, and also gifts that were given to Soviet leaders from other presidents of state. There was a sword that was given to some, I think Gorbachev. There was a sword given by Saddam Hussein. And it was just like really interesting, all this stuff that I would see there. And I just thought to myself, man, this would be a fantastic place to kind of kick off a comic. And then the ideas just kept flowing from there.
That's awesome.
I thought, what if our heroine, Laura, what if she works there? And then what if she stumbles across an apocalyptic plot devised by a ragtag gang of Russian monsters that are pulled from Russian folklore? And so then I started doing a bunch of research on Russian monsters, and you have some that are more familiar, like the Baba Yaga, and then you have some that are a little bit more obscure, like the Vodnavoy, which is like a frogman, and then you have like the Vila Samadiva, which is like an ethereal maiden. And so, so when I kind of had a few of them that were like based in Russian folklore, but then I thought, I'm just going to come up with some of my own. And so I just like made up a bunch of other monsters that kind of fill out our ragtag gang of ghouls.
What are some of those monsters? Some of those examples?
So when I have the Ghost of Stalin, who sort of pops up and he's kind of comic relief. I have in issue 1, we have a Russian lumberjack who turns into a bear, a massive 50-foot tall bear monster, and some bad, unfortunate things happen to that guy. And then we also have like a demented cosmonaut monkey.
I like that though.
The Russians, they didn't use monkeys, they used dogs.
Yeah.
And so their famous dog was called Laika. And I just wanted to draw monkeys instead of dogs. So I took a little bit of creative license with that. So we have a cosmonaut monkey called Splyka instead of Laika. And so and Yuri Gagarin, I think, pops up, and we kill him off at some point in the story. But it's just like so that was in issue 1. And our, we get to meet the family, and we start to lay the seeds actually pretty soon for a character that we're going to see in issue 3, a character called the Professor, and I'll talk about him in a second. But so the Turners, they thwart our villains' dastardly plans in issue 1, and then they find themselves on the run from these monster morons, and they so they end up, the next issue, they end up in Roswell, New Mexico, and let me see if I have. Where is it? Is it around here? Oh, here it is. So this is our issue 2, and this was a cover that was illustrated by Easton Hawke.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah.
2, and he's back with us for issue 3. And so heading to Roswell, I needed to get them from Los Angeles to Ithaca, New York. And so Roswell in issue 2 seemed like the perfect spot for us to stop over. I have screened a couple of my films in Roswell, New Mexico at the Roswell Film Festival there. And I flew out 1 year for the film festival. So I got to check it out and talk with everybody there. And so when I was writing issue 2, I was like, okay, that's where it's going to be. And then obviously with all the aliens, the mythology there, I was like, okay, well, where can I take my characters? And so in issue 2, we have our backstory of Bob Turner and the daughter, little Sophia. And for Bob, the whole alien thing gets pretty real for him. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah, you're fine.
But yeah, so we have some fun with that, and then also at the end of issue 2, we have this big reveal of little Sophia, and that's really like what we discovered issue 2, kind of setting off the entire series. Volume 1, volume 2, whatever, however long it lasts. Like at the end of issue 2, that's where you kind of know, okay, so this is the deal, and this is what they're going to have to deal with, both externally with, Russian monsters or whoever they run across, but more importantly, like internally, they're dealing with all these like internal struggles. Each one of our characters has like either a curse or a superpower or something just really messed up about them. and so what's fun with the first 2 issues, we kind of like get a sense of, we figure out what that is for most of them. And then that's sort of cues up issue 3. And issue 3 is where they finally make it to Ithaca, New York. Basically, Laura Turner, when she was a child, she was trained to be the next great monster slayer. Like, she had tutors and who taught her martial arts and sword play and espionage and all that good stuff. And it's because her dad is a character. His name is Professor Ezra Brahms. He's the mysterious professor. And he is a world famous monster slayer and sociopath and all around lousy dad.
Man, you got some beef with your father-in-law.
I have told my father-in-law that but there might be a little bit of him in this character, but mostly it's a combination of Sean Connery in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, mixed with Hugh Hefner, mixed with like Burt Reynolds from like the 1970s. So that he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of comic relief, and we finally get to meet the guy. Like it was interesting putting these little seeds, like just like one line about the guy in issue 1 and issue 2, and then now we have him show up in issue 3, and so it's just Laura. Like, the big thing for Laura is that she doesn't want to be anywhere near this guy. She hasn't seen him in 20 years. Her kids have never met him, and she just knows that if she gets anywhere near him, like her dad is going to try to manipulate her kids and try to turn them into some sort of sideshow and And she doesn't want that, but unfortunately they don't have anywhere else to turn to, and so they've made this trek back to his Downton Abbey-esque castle in Ithaca. And and what's fun is for issue 3, half the issue is the sort of kind of explosive confrontation between Laura and her dad, and then half the issue is basically like husband, like Bob Turner, he knows there's going to be some crazy stuff going down between his wife and his father-in-law, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna head out for a little bit. And
is that what you would do? Like, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna get some fresh air. You guys take care.
So he is walking around the campus and goes to the bar and has a beer there, and that is where he is seduced by one of our Russian villainous diva, and she takes it upon herself to kind of go after Bob Turner. And this was fun for me to write because it was me very much like reminiscing about one of my favorite movies, National Lampoon's Vacation. And there's the whole like Christy Brinkley, who like drives up in the Ferrari like every 15 minutes, and then the dad is just sitting there with his tongue hanging out, and there's just like this temptation there, which is funny. And so I get to play with that. In this issue. So we like have some like a little sex appeal to the issue, as well as this sort of crazy over the top battle between Laura and her dad. And it was just a really exciting issue. I'm just really glad, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. We've sort of been building up to this. And it's been kind of hard to talk about the series without kind of giving everything away. And now we're revealing more stuff, and now we've got this really exciting third issue. And then at the end of issue 3, we have our big cliffhanger and our big reveal. And that's.
Has this been the first time that issue 3 has been available?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is the first time that issue 3, the third issue has been available. And with our Kickstarter right now, we have issues 1, 2, and 3 available. We've got some great covers. And one thing I wanted to mention, I kind of keep forgetting this, but I like to add like value to the Kickstarter. Like when our first Kickstarter, our digital copy of issue 1 was like $10. And then for our second issue, our digital copy for issues 1 and 2 was $10. And then for this Kickstarter, our digital like 1, 2, and 3, I kept it at $10. You know? Like, so now it's like, whereas in the first campaign you had like 32 pages for that price point, like now you get like 88 or 90 pages. That's
a good price.
Yeah, and so I just want to share the story, and that always is a little pet peeve of mine, is like trying, if there's a third issue, is like trying to track down some of the other stuff. And so I just wanted to have that there and just continue to kind of give value to my new readers.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's an easy way to kind of get them caught up too.
Yeah, get them caught up, and then if they want, to get a physical copy, this is the first campaign that we have 3 covers, our main cover, and then we've got our 2 variants. So, and you can get all those issues, and we've got bundles for those, and
that's awesome. So let's go ahead and let's check it out. Real quick though, we have David Schmeling asking, question to Robert: how much do you think of the story? How much do you think the story of your comic might branch out into the future?
Well, we already have issue 4 is halfway drawn right now, and so that will be completed in a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I already know I'm writing volume 2 right now, but volume 1 is like that. It's the four issues. 4 issues is volume 1, and when I wrote it, like that's the story arc ends after 120 plus pages.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, so it's on like a personal level, it's kind of cool because I set out on this journey to like do that, to like
Yeah,
make
yeah.
to have a trade, have a 120 plus page graphic novel, and we are at about 105 pages. And then we also did a short story. We did a short story that was in the Nightmare Theater 2 horror anthology. That was the editors, David Schrader and Clay Adams. I'll give a shout out to Clay. Clay is on Kickstarter right now, like One More Day, with Pregnant Bitches of War. And so everybody go check out Pregnant Bitches of War. And
I think I've heard that just because of how catchy the name is.
Oh yeah, it's the most it's the scandalous name in the comic book game. And Clay is hilarious. He's my favorite creator of any creator, and so check out Clay. But yeah, I know where we're going. To answer the question, I know where we're going in volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do another volume, and then for me and my wife are like addicted to British television shows. So, and they always have like a Christmas special that pops up. So
yeah.
I think in between volumes, I might do a Christmas special.
That is awesome. I love it.
That way I can like bang out a quick one and pay homage to all my favorite addictive British shows that my wife and I
We have David saying you have a lot coming up. This is really cool. Yeah, I think it's really awesome too. For anyone that's just tuning in, we are taking a look at Tuner Family Terrors 1 through 3. The Suburban Slayers are back. A new comic starring monster slaying, foul-mouthed, bumbling adventurers, the Turner family. Think the Simpsons meets Hellboy, excuse me. 6,234 out of 3,000. Congratulations on doubling your funding once again. 168 backers with 46 hours to go. Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
How you feeling? You're right. You're in the end game. You're under 2 days. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings right now?
I feel good. Like, we shot out of the gate. We got funded in 72 hours. We've gone past 4 stretch goals. We have another stretch goal that's looks like it's about $200 away. 260 66 or so away from getting that, and we have the most backers that we've ever had.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And it's great. And for this campaign, we've gone out and we've talked with a lot of people. We've gone on some podcasts, we've live streams, and we've just been getting a lot of great reception from people that have read the book, and they're laughing their ass off,
So, what is this that we're looking at right here?
What are you looking at?
Yeah, right here. This like toad frog looking creature.
That's a Vodniavoy. That is our character Iggy, and
I love the name.
It's Igor. They call him Iggy.
Mm-hmm.
And this illustration is done by Easton Hawk. He is a wonderful artist who he's really a master of American like cryptid illustrations. I don't know if you can see. I'm wearing one of his shirts right now, and if I can do that like. There.
Yeah, that's awesome. That looks cool.
That is the Mothman of West Virginia. And so I love working with Easton. If you scroll down.
Well, I was going to say, if this is a trailer, we can watch it real quick if you'd like.
This video is like two minutes.
That's fine.
2.5 minutes. Do you want to watch it?
Yeah, if you want to, that's 110%
Yeah, sure.
fine with me. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
we just
it.
won't be able to hear you on the other end if you try to talk.
Okay, I won't talk through it. You can just play it. Hello Kickstarter, my name is Robert Krisch and I am the writer and creator of Turner Family Terrors. Think The Simpsons meets Hellboy. I'm thrilled to be back here on Kickstarter once again for the third installment of the Turner Family saga. This is going to be our most ambitious campaign ever and we are super excited to share it with you. Serbian illustrator Ski Bosic is back, and this time around we have 3 amazing covers. Our main cryptid cover A, illustrated by Image Comics Easton Hawk. Our Art Nouveau rare variant illustrated by Fried Comics Kyle Roberts.
That's really gorgeous.
Colored by the savage Sasquatch himself, Wes Hartman. Finally, our Kickstarter exclusive Cthulhu Attacks variant by Mandrill PI's Carlos Trigo. TFT is a horror comedy family adventure starring a sweet, suburban, but utterly dysfunctional Turner family as they are tasked with saving the world from a ragtag gang of monster morons. But at the heart of the story lies a family desperately trying to navigate their own dysfunction and traverse the pitfalls of parenthood. And in that regard, it's a personal story for me because I too am a bumbling dad trying my best not to piss off my wife and screw up my kids. Prefer your horror comics with an unhealthy dose of humor, akin to What We Do in the Shadows, Shaun of the Dead, Monster Squad, or Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein? You're going to dig this comic. The art for issue number 3 is 100% complete, and we are launching this Kickstarter to help pay our amazing art team and help fund the initial print run of our comic. If you're new to TFT, welcome. We have tiers that will catch you up. We'll also have exclusive prints, rare variant covers, and our backers can get themselves drawn into the comic, which is always fun.
Yeah,
One
really
fan
cool
recently
too.
described TFT as Rick and Morty crossed with Scooby-Doo, and I love that. There's definitely some naughty language floating around, so it is not the comic for your kids. You've been warned. I would never let my kids read this comic.
Dad, I loved your comic book. It had so many F-bombs in it. Hey, Dad, issue 2 is awesome. I can't wait for issue 3.
Would you give me that thing?
Do your kids actually read your comics?
No. They don't. I'll tell you about that in a second.
That's funny though. That's funny. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't have my kids haven't read my comic. Like, 'cause this isn't a comic for kids. Like it's mainly like PG-13 fun, but there are adult situations and there's a lot of F-bombs floating around. So but my son came up with a funny bit and we wrote something, and so we
it runs in the family. It looks like
it runs in the family.
Yeah.
He was like, Dad, what if I said, I pop in and we're looking forward to the next issue, and so we filmed that. But the funny thing is that when we were filming it, he had the comic in his hand and he started reading it, and so like we're doing these takes and I saw him reading it, and then at a certain point I had to like stop and I pulled it from him, and he saw like the one thing in issue 1 which is kind of over the top, and the one thing that's over the top, I was like, so I grabbed it from him there, but but it's good. I always like, it was fun doing that with them. I always like being trying to incorporate them on some level into my creative endeavors, and so that was fun doing that. And this right here, what you're looking at is our main cover. If you want to scroll, and so Easton did our main cover here, and I always love having him do his like cryptid monster pinups. And then we always throw the Turner family in the background, like freaked out.
I just love this detailing. It is so remarkable just seeing like the detailing of the bubbling of the flesh and everything.
Yeah, his wrinkles. Like his
drooling.
wrinkles for everything is really nice. And then we have our variant cover. If you scroll down, and so this cover here was illustrated by a wonderful artist, Kyle Roberts, and colored by Wes Hartman. And I found out about Kyle when I was reading horror anthology Nightmare Theater 1. He did the cover for that. And then I saw a pinup that he did for another comic book that he drew called The Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. And it's, again, another comic by Clay Adams from Fried Comics. Definitely check out Fried Comics. And so the pinup that he did was like an Art Nouveau pinup. And it kind of had my imagination kind of ran wild. And I was like, you know what? I would love to do a Turner Family Terrors Art Nouveau variant cover.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
And so I contacted him, and I actually, I backed their campaign. I backed their Kickstarter. That's one of the nice things about Kickstarter is that sometimes they have like tiers where you can just like back them, and it says for however much money we'll collaborate with you and we'll do an art piece.
Isn't it crazy, dude? That's so awesome. And
so,
then you ended up getting this?
And so I ended up getting this. Yeah. So that is like, and the great thing about that is that they have to work with you. Like if you back their tier, like they have to do it, It's not me tracking them down. And so we worked together, we collaborated. I had an idea, and Kyle just took it to...
This is gorgeous.
I took it to an insane level. And then I brought in Wes Hartman to color this. And so right now, Wes is a fantastic writer and creator. I don't know if you've ever met Wes, but he's doing the Savage Sasquatch. Is his comic book, and it's on Kickstarter right now. And so for backers of both campaigns, TFT and the Savage Sasquatch, you'll get a physical backers. They'll get a 5x7 mini print of this variant cover.
Okay, that's so cool.
And for digital, they'll get a digital high def copy of it. But it's just a nice kind of cross promotion and it was interesting because it is a little bit different because most cross promotion prints have both characters in the print. And this one is kind of like just like highlighting just a fantastic piece of work and highlighting Wes's like coloring skills. He's a really talented, he's been coloring professionally for DC and Marvel for, 15 plus years. So it was really nice to work with him. I worked with two great artists on one pinup, and this one has just been resonating really well. People,
So who are we seeing right here? I know I recognize the monkey, but who else are we seeing kind of like right here?
So that is Iggy again, our frogman. Then we have our villainous diva there. We have Spalika the monkey there. Over on the going around, we have on the other side, that is three new characters in issue 3.
Okay.
We have Reggie, the nurse. He is like the nurse for the professor, but he's actually like a hitman or bodyguard.
Yeah, he looks way evil.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but he kind of in issue 3 he's a catalyst for some shenanigans and then we have the teaching assistant, the TA there, a little sexy sidekick for the professor, and then we have the professor there, and then we have the rest of the Turners.
We have El Crudo over on YouTube stopping and say what up in rad cover. Yeah, absolutely. I love this cover so much. The way like the tentacles like wrapped around the leg and everything. Detail's just phenomenal.
Yeah. I was able to kind of tick off a lot of boxes with this, working with two artists, kind of adding a little Lovecraft feel to it, playing homage to Edvard Munch with the Art Nouveau. So it was fun. And then we have our third cover here, which is illustrated by another really talented artist, Carlos Trigo. And again, like when I was reading Nightmare Theater 1 horror anthology, I ran across a story called Ahead of Joaquin. Mm-hmm. And I saw the art and I was like, I love this. I want to work with this guy. And then a week later, I got my Kickstarter rewards for another book called Mandrill P.I. By my buddy Christopher Brimage. And it's another fantastic book. And I saw the art and I said, you know what? I love the art. I want to work with this guy. And then it was about a week later when I was looking at my notes that I realized it was the same dude who I was.
David Schmelling on YouTube saying they love the illustrations for these covers as well. Yeah, all these covers just look gorgeous. Which one would you say is your favorite?
I mean, I love them all in their own way, but I think the Art Nouveau cover is probably up there, and maybe just simply because I worked with two artists on this, and so I was able to have that kind of collaboration on two levels.
It looks gorgeous too.
So we're just really excited about our covers. This is the first time we've had 3 covers for our campaign. So it's been fun to kind of bundle them up and together, and people are buying all 3, or people are buying issues 1 and 2. As add-ons, we have our variant cover for issue 2 available. And we also have Turner Family Terrors is going to be a short story in the Nightmare Theater 2 anthology. So I also have that as an add-on. Okay. So if you miss that campaign, you can pick up the 160 page. I think I have 5, maybe 10 copies. I think 2 of them are already gone, but I have a few physical copies. I guess 8 left. And people can purchase those as well. So they can get every place that Turner Family Terrors is in print, including picking up an extra 160 page anthology with this current campaign.
That's a lot of reading too. That is awesome.
Yeah, so it's good. Again, it's like just trying to put as much value into, cram it into the Kickstarter as I can.
And then here's some what people are saying. We have Clay Adams saying, well crafted and hilarious. I love the hell out of this book. Chanel, is it Chanel?
Chanel Gibbs.
Saying a deliciously dark and wild family adventure, super fun to read. Tyler James delivering madcap road trip adventures of the most dysfunctional family. Turner Family Terrors almost defies description. You simply have to buckle up tight and read the damn book. And then we finished strong with Big Tim Styles. When I saw that cover for issue 2, 2 drops of pee may have came out.
Yes, sir. That's
and then
Big
some
Tim.
of the stretch goals. So unlocked at 4,500 comic upgrade. You're upgrading the paper stock for your print.
Yeah, so we basically just we upgraded our paper stock for our comic, and we added all the pinups and some of the other illustrations and some behind the scenes stuff in the back of our comic. We also added for our digital version, it expanded by several pages. We'll put some a special thanks page in there and some more behind the scenes stuff. At 5,000, we unlocked a mini print. We have, I love working with our artists for our covers, but I use this as an opportunity to work with even more artists on pinups. And so for issue 2, we worked with 3 pinup artists, and for issue 3, we worked with 2 pinup artists, Lightning Strikes, Marcus D. Newsome, and a wonderful artist and great guy, J.P. Harrington Jr. So now we have like a mini print library of like 7 now. And so
that's
our backers,
awesome.
yeah. So we have those as 5x7 mini prints, and we're going to give those. I'll sign those and number them, and we'll get those to our backers. At 5,500, this was a treat for me when I went to Roswell with my film. One of the films I edited was called Earworm, and the producer was Billy Hansen. And Billy's done so much horror stuff, and he's got a feature that's coming out pretty soon. And he got a bunch of awards this year for an animated piece that he did. And the short story collection that he did a couple years ago is called Spider Season, and Spider Season 2 is coming out in a few months. And so I contacted him, and all my backers are going to get the audiobook
That's awesome.
and the PDF for Spider Season. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm happy for Billy, and he's just doing great stuff. And he also writes for comic books. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I read some of his books, and that was an inspiration for me to kind of get out there and start doing it as well. Both Billy and Chanel are friends of mine, and they inspired me to kind of go out there and make some books. And then we got some fun stuff unlocked at 6,000 and 6,500, and this is our preview of issue 4. And so what's fun about this is that at the end of issue 3, we've got this cliffhanger, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so instead of like having to wait, 6 months, 9 months for the next issue, I already have 7 pages of the next issue complete.
That is awesome, dude. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is what we unlocked at 6,000, I unlocked 4 pages, and then the cold open for issue 4 is 7 pages. So at 6,500, we're unlocking 3 more pages of story and a pinup. I've already completed 1 pinup, and that's of the professor in his little tank running around, killing zombies. So, so at the end of this campaign, I'll be able to give a digital 8-page, hopefully if we get to 6,500, 8-page preview of issue 4, and readers can just kind of find out immediately what happened.
That's so awesome.
What happened at the end of issue 3. So there's that. We had a milestone. If you scroll down a little bit, we unlocked our 150 backer milestone bonus. So for the final week, any new backer, even for like $1, if you back the campaign, then you'll receive 10 digital bonus.
For even $1?
Or even $1.
Wow.
You back for $1. You get the thing that we have a family friendly coloring book that we're offering for $1, and everybody can also get 10 comics. So, but it's just another opportunity to bring more people, fans into Turner Family Terrors. Check out the page, and you can also pick up the digital 3 issues for $10. And we did a process pack, a behind the scenes process pack, which was 120 plus page digital process pack. And for an extra $5, you can get that. So for 15. So for 15, that's another value tier too.
Yeah,
you get 200 plus pages of content. So, yeah.
So this is, we're thrilled to be back on Kickstarter with Turner Family Terrors issue 3, The Professor, an adrenaline-filled 28-page, part black and white, part technicolor horror show. The Turner Family Turners is the new comic starring monster-slaying, foul-mouthed, bumbling adventurers. The Turner family think the Simpsons meet Hellboy. So right here is just a little bit of what you're offering in this campaign. And then some of the preview pages. So what are we seeing right here?
So this is our title page. This is 4 pages into our cold open for issue 3. And this is the moment. We've been building up to this for 60 pages, and they finally land at his castle. And I think he's saying there, it was just a matter of time. I knew you'd come crawling back.
Oh, God.
And so, yeah. So, and of course, there's her eyes there, and she's pissed off, and that kind of starts the issue. And then we, with our book, we're pretty liberal with our F-bombs, but we are not, we don't really have any nudity. Like, that's not really our jam a whole lot. But I wanted, like I was saying earlier, I wanted to have a little bit of sex appeal to it. So we have our villainous diva who seduces our dad. And so this is just one of the panels that kind of gives you a little taste of what might be coming. And then also in issue 3, we have another one of our origin stories, but this time we get to take a deep dive with our villains. Like these bad guys, they're not just evil, they're not just bad. Like there's a reason they do what they do. And so we get to kind of examine that a little bit and maybe empathize just a little bit with those.
I love how sleazy he looks too.
So this is this is one of our monsters of our Turner Family Terror collection, and we'll scroll down to the bottom and we'll see a little bit more of that.
Okay.
But
and then right here is just telling you who's gonna love it. Basically, if you prefer horror comics with an unhealthy dose of humor, akin to What We Do in the Shadows, Monster Squad, or Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, this is for you. If you love an absurd family-driven romp like National Lampoon's Vacation, The Simpsons, or Schitt's Creek, you'll dig this comic, dude. I love The Simpsons growing up. That's like one of my favorites.
It's now on Disney all 30 years.
That's crazy.
And it's literally all my kids are watching. And so 98% of it's fine. 2% of it is I have to skip over. Like yesterday, yesterday was the first time that when I was watching The Simpsons with my kids, that Homer was smoking out of a bong.
Okay.
And my 10-year-old points to it and he goes, "Dad, what's that?" And so I said, "Oh, I don't know, man. I don't
It's
know
crazy.
what that, I don't know what that it is. I gotta go. I'll see you later." And I was running around the house, but it was just kind of funny. I talked to my 10-year-old and he's so smart and such a little grown up. But then there are those moments that, they remind you that, they're still little kids.
They're innocent.
But The Simpsons are amazing. And then a few other influences on there. I'm a big Mike Mignola fan. So, the influences of Hellboy and a lot of stuff that he's done are in the pages. And then I'm a big fan of black and white comics. I love creepy, eerie Tales from the Crypt. I'm rereading the Walking Dead. I just got 10 like hardcovers from a neighbor who was selling them at a garage sale or something. So I picked those up, and so I'm a big fan of that. So you can definitely see that. But my artist, one of his big influences is like Will Eisner, Contract with God. I'm also reading like Habibi, another really great black and white book. So there's a little sophistication, I think, to Ski's illustrations, little European flavor. So it's it's a good mix with my kind of American, over the top, heartfelt, raunchy comedy.
And then here's the pitch. So, snatched from the suburban life, the lovely dysfunctional Turner family must confront an evil unleashed from the haunted Cold War museum, the ghost of Stalin, Baba Yaga. Did I say that right? Did I get that right?
Yes.
And the gang of ghouls stalked by these demons, the Turners must embrace their innermost monster slayer, protect their cursed daughter, and save the world from utter madness before they drive each other completely crazy. Part Scooby-Doo, part Rick and Morty, 100% bonkers, adult horror, comedy fun. And I love this little time lapse This is gorgeous. I love this. This looks so awesome.
Cool, yeah. Like Easton with his machine, he just records the stuff and a time lapse. And so I always snag those and throw them wherever I can. It's just fun. You can see the process. It originally started as a daytime scene, and it had kind of a southwestern background. And then like the orange when it pops up on the screen right about here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, why don't we try a night scene? And then and then we switched it to night. So.
And what are readers complaining or raving about? So some reviews from readers as well. If you want, you can read a couple of your favorites.
Let's see here. From Allison Shelton, so fun and gross. Imagine a Family Guy episode written by George Romero. From Billy, my buddy Billy, it's rare to find a book that combines big action, biting humor, gross out horror, and sweet family drama. The Turner Family Terrors does just that. TFT is an absolute blast. And then Christopher Brimage, he says, this is the comic you should be reading. Thank you, Christopher. It's pinnacle monster of the week style entertainment and the perfect mix of humor and horror. Issue 3 is fantastic. And the Monster Matador is in here. I laughed so hard I forgot to scream. TFT is a perfect blend of horror comedy and family dysfunction.
Yeah,
Don't
I love
miss
Steve.
it.
Steve is awesome.
Oh yeah, Steve went on your show. He was the guy who emailed me a couple weeks ago and said you got to go on Cody's show.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Yeah,
So,
I love Monster Matador. It was awesome.
And then the last one, I'll give a shout out to David Schrader. He says, delightfully demented, smart, silly, and subversive satire. Turner Family Terrors is a profane joyride filled with monsters, aliens, and over-the-top action and all manner of family mayhem. A witty and wild romp, TFT delivers the comic goods.
Let's go. That is awesome.
So, yeah.
So the artwork for issue 3 is 100% complete. Once our special thanks page is finalized, this baby is ready to ship. One quick note. The characters of TFT live in a PG-13 world. However, their salty language occasionally pushes this comic well into rated R territory. So while this might look awfully sweet, it's not the comic for your kids. And although we're pretty liberal with our F-bombs, nudity really isn't our thing. We try to keep things classy.
And then I said, we try our best.
That's awesome. All right, so you've also contributed to Scout Comics, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse Comics, DC, Disney, and Action Lab. That's awesome.
My art team and my editors, they've done some great work. So I wanted to point that out. And then I have a big long spiel here where I, just give props to my team. And give a shout out to Ski. Ski is our interior artist. He's just done a lot of great stuff. My favorite being The Adventures of Cordelia Swift, Slave, XYZ, Go to the Museum, Sex and Violence Anthology. And he's doing a lot of stuff now that he can't talk about quite yet. So it's just great. He's just such a professional and such just salt of the earth. And
that's awesome.
And then my buddy Christopher Angel, who was the director of the Wishmaster series, horror series. He was my editor. He's been on since issue 1, and he is like a master of story. He just gives it to me straight out when things aren't working, and I can fix stuff.
And that's invaluable, right? Finding someone that's able to do that to you without, that's willing to say, what a lot of people would try to skirt around.
Yeah. And for him, when I was talking to him with my first project that I was getting ready to launch, that I've been workshopping, he was just honest, and he was like, I don't know if this one's ready. And then I was developing Turner Family Terrors, and then he was like, yeah, this is it. Because it's like the heart is there. And so once the heart of the story and the characters are there, then all the other crazy stuff, like that's, icing on top. And then for issue 2, I met Nicole DeAndrea, and she has just done so much stuff in the indie community. And I always joke that at some point Nicole's going to teach me how to use a comma correctly. And she's been great to have on. Just her wealth of knowledge for comics is just impressive. And she goes by the Comic Maven, and she has her long running article series on Comic Frontline, which is Kickstart the Week. And earlier this week we were featured on that article. So Nicole is great.
Too, yeah.
And then if you scroll down, we talked about Easton and Kyle and Wes. We talked a little bit about Carlos, and then our 2 other artists are, if you scroll down, JP Harrington, who does kind of a mix of like an anime washed with very vibrant, like neon colors. And so it's kind of cool to throw Turner Family Terrors into an anime environment.
Yeah.
And then I met Marcus D. Newsom at a free comic book day event a few years ago, and he did a Spider-Man illustration for my son, and he signed his name, and I can't make out his signature. And so for like 2 years, I tried to figure out who it was that did this amazing Spider-Man illustration for my son, and I finally figured it out. And then I contacted him, and he did a wonderful pinup for the comic. And if you we'll go down to the rewards, but if you scroll all the way down a little bit, you can see the 2 the pinups. There's our Baba Yaga pinup, and here is our Reggie the Nurse pinup by Marcus. And if you scroll up, that's our Baba Yaga pinup. So
yeah, that's gorgeous too.
Yeah, and those will live at the end of the book. Put a splash of color into the comic.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start breaking down some of these tiers.
Sure.
These are all listed on the side for everyone. I did put that link in the comments, so be sure to check this out with us. And of course, if you are interested and able to, be sure to back. But if you're unable to back, just sharing this campaign on your Twitter, on Facebook, gets the word out. You might have a friend who would like this. So starting right off, we are at the rewards, the deluxe digital. You can get the first issue, 1, 2, and 3 digitally for $10, but you can get the third issue for $5.
Yeah.
Underneath that, we have the Graders Edition, which is for $15. You get 1, 2, 3 PDF plus 100+ page process packet. Issue 3 physically is coming in at $19. And then the rare variant for only $5 more is going to get you the Art Nouveau. Did I say that right?
Art Nouveau.
Nouveau? I was close. Pronunciations are not my strong suit. But you're also able to get the Kickstarter exclusive with that same price tier as well. And then 2 issues number 3, which are the main cover and the variant for $39. 2 issues number 3, which are going to be the main character, and then the other variant for $39 as well. And then all 3 issues for $59. So that's a pretty neat tier, offering the 2 variants plus the main. Plus, do you get the digitals with? Yeah, the digitals with this as well.
Plus, you get 200 pages of digital.
Yeah, let's go.
And you get 10 indie digital comics thrown in.
Yeah. I forgot all about that. That's
thrown in to boot.
Yeah, that's such a crazy amount of that's a year's worth of reading right there, almost, right? So right here's the physical catch up for $59. That's gonna get you issues 1, 2, and 3 all physically. The physical catch up with the Art Nouveau variant for $59, and then also with you can get all the variants, including issues 1 and 2 for 79. So that was another interesting tier as well. Every issue value pack, $20 off. So yeah, you really are stretching it out for the consumer with these tiers, it feels like.
And this next one's pretty cool. The Nightmare Theater 2. You get 3 Turner Family Terrors plus a 160-page trade paperback for under $100. So that is fun, and I'm super proud of that. That's the first anthology that I've submitted to.
Oh, that's awesome.
I read Nightmare Theater 1, and I was just like, I gotta be in the next one, and so I contacted them, and we were able to. We put a really messed up story in there. Our next tier is our Easton Hawke Collector's tier. We've got 2 signed posters by Easton, along with the 2 comics that he did the covers for, plus the digital rewards. The cameo illustrations are great. I counted yesterday, we've illustrated 25 backers into the pages of Turner Family Terrors. We had like 16 in the first issue, 6 in the second, and so far we have 3 or so in the third. And that's always fun to talk with fans and put them in some sort of messed up situation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A zombie or like a college student who's getting ripped in half. And then I get to play with it too. Like one fan had a speaking line and got to say an F-bomb in the comic. And really doesn't get any better than that. You know? I threw my sister in the comic without her knowing about it. So just little things like that, just having fun with, and then you can be an executive producer of the comic. We also do behind the scenes videos. This is going to be our 3rd video, and you can be executive producer of that as well. And then every year I do a weird one with my daughter where she cuts my hair. And a couple of years ago, she was 5, and so she was cutting my hair, and it was like a total dumpster fire. It was hilarious.
Oh no!
And then but it was great. You know, we have so much fun. We live stream it with our backers, and so then when she was 6, we did a mohawk. Like we had like a specific idea, and that came out really well. And then now she's 7, so I don't know if if we should blindfold her, or if I'll just give her the clippers and she just shave it all off. I don't know. We're gonna do. We have to like make it.
Maybe let her get an eyebrow or something. I don't know.
Oh, I know. That's a good idea. Idea. Yeah,
so
we'll do something. And then we've got our add-ons. Everyone can get different variations of the comic, and pick up a new one or pick up an additional one.
Yeah.
We have like 8 original copies of issue 1 right now, our first print run. We only have 8 left, and so we'll be doing a second printing of issue 1. But right now, if you want to pick up one of our last 8 of our however many we did, 300 or plus or whatever, our run from 3 years ago, that is the thing. It's very sentimental for me. Like I see in my issue 1s, they're gone, and it's a great thing. But it's I guess time to do print and run 2.
So the big why. Give us a breakdown of that.
So the big why, and I was talking about this earlier. It's kind of like, me being able to tell my story, and me being able to bring my anecdotes of, joy, and just being able to tell the stories that I want to tell, but then also layering on top all the fun genres and tropes that I love with comic books and films. But really, it's at the heart of it, it's about a family. And like I was saying earlier, it's been fun to hear people tell me that that's resonating with them. And every now and then I get to send an artist a picture of me and my family, as a reference
Mm-hmm.
for something that I want them to do. And this was a pinup that was done by Dylan Campbell, who's an illustrator for a great book called Scared by the Bell. And he did this pinup, and I was just able to send him one of my favorite
That's awesome.
family photos of us, my daughter looking all cute as hell there, and and then him. I just like turn him into the Turner family, and like come up with something interesting. So, yeah. So there's that, and then
a little bit of the timeline and the shipping. Was there any? This is what the preview of issue 1.
Yeah, so that's issue 1. We get to see some. Yeah, we kind of went over it a little bit.
Yeah, well, we can do. I'll put it in the link. If anyone's interested, they could always check it out there. How much of a preview does it offer?
We have like maybe, we don't want to be too spoilery,
Mm-hmm.
so it's mainly just kind of a taste of pages from the book to get a sense.
I gotcha.
And then and then some of the same preview pages of issue 3 down there as well. So
I'm trying not to spoil too much. It looks. I'm trying, but it looks so good. I can't wait to dive into it. I love this so much too.
Yeah, that was a Technicolor dream that we did for issue 2, and it starts so sweet with her with rainbows and unicorns, and then in typical Turner family terrorist fashion, it all goes to hell, and it doesn't end well, and for little Sophia.
So, Robert, for anyone that is on the fence of backing, you got what 46 hours to go. They're on the fence of backing. What would you like to say to them directly to kind of help push them over that fence?
Well, I would just say that the story is super fun, and it's a comic, so it's lighthearted, and I want to just bring some humor to the horror genre, and so it's a good time. It's a good entertainment experience, and the art is beautiful. Our covers, we really went the extra mile and worked with some fantastic artists to have some really beautiful covers, including our Art Nouveau variant cover and our Cthulhu Attacks Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah, that was gorgeous too.
Variant. And then we've got some fun cross promotions with us in the Savage Sasquatch campaign. And then I would just say that, I'm a Kickstarter guy. Like, that's where I get my comics. And so when I go to Kickstarter, I'm looking for fun, unique stories, but I'm also looking for a cool Kickstarter experience and having like some fun, added value thrown in. So we've surpassed 4 stretch goals, and we've got another one coming up, and we've got a preview of issue 4, which will be a lot of fun to dive right into the next issue, and not have to wait a long time for that. And then just continue to add value. We unlocked our indie bonus bundle. So every new backer gets 10 indie digital comics. If you back us even on a digital level for $10, you'll get 88 pages of Turner Family Terrors, all 3 issues. So I just want to I just want to have a big party on Kickstarter for a month, because that's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy, getting books that are unique and ones that you can't find at your local comic book shop. And I also love the Kickstarter experience, where I can interact with creators and help them, reach their funding level and make their books. So
that's awesome.
So go check it out. Turner Family Terrors. We have less than 48 hours. We have like 46 hours or something left. And
Yeah, let's go. So before we officially wrap things up completely, Robert, I realize this is one of those shows where you can, sell your book as much as you want, but in the end, a lot of indie creators are watching it, and they're hopefully learning something from it,
Okay.
So with that in mind, for anyone that's kind of struggling to get their book off the ground, they're struggling just to get their idea. Maybe it's a script, maybe it's a book idea, but they're just having trouble just getting started with it. What type of advice would you give them to help them kind of push through that?
I'll tell you two things straight off the bat. I was a guy in that exact same situation 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I wanted to tell some stories, and I was starting down a path that has led me to where I'm at today with 4 floppies and a short story. But like, how did I get from there to here? And I would just say 2 quick things. I just took a class. I took a class online. It was by Jim Higgins, a comic book writing class. And it was a good class. I learned a lot, and it started me down the path. And then I'll repeat something I mentioned earlier. There's a Facebook group called Connecting Comic Book Writers with Artists. Just go to that Facebook group and write a post. Write a post. Tell them what you are, who you are, where you are in your creative journey. If you're starting out, you can let them know that. Talk to them about your budget, and you'll have 2 dozen artists the next day sending you their stuff. And you can hopefully be writing your book. The one thing that I will say, I was thinking about this recently, that I've learned over this past year, I'll give a shout out to anthologies. Anthologies are another opportunity for writers to start with something smaller. Start with a 6-page story. And start with an artist and do something smaller so it's not a huge time commitment, and just get out there, find anthologies you like, and don't wait around to be asked to come to the party. You gotta find it. Find them, contact them on social media, email them, tell them who you are, what you want to do, and do some shorts in anthologies to get your foot wet in both making comics, but also crowdfunding. These anthologies, they go to Kickstarter. And if you've never done a Kickstarter before, you can be a cheerleader for the anthology that you're a part of. And you can be a part of that Kickstarter experience.
That's awesome. I'd never thought about it like that.
Without having to do the page and do Facebook ads and do this, that, or the other. You can be a cheerleader and you can root them on, but you can also learn the process and learn that Kickstarter isn't as daunting as it might seem, and you'll get a lot of experience. So those are
I appreciate that. That was some gold. That's gold. Yeah. Hey, well, Robert, I appreciate you coming on here, breaking down Turner Family Terrors with us, and just everything in between. There was so much that went into this, and man, I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I think I got my hands on the kitchen. I think you had a tier, it's like the kitchen sink tier. It was like a digital. It was like 1 through 3, and then everything. It was like the everything in tier. The digital kitchen sink. Yeah. So I'm excited to get my hands on that. That looks like it's gonna pretty much quench my appetite. You'll
learn my whole process there, the process behind that, and our pretty link for the I guess I should have put this in the comments. Well, you probably put a link in there somewhere.
I'm with Restream. I've been posting your link in Restream, and that distributes it to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube at the same time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've got our Facebook or our Kickstarter link. And then also if you go to turnerfamilyterrors.com, that's an easy way to remember it. And that'll lead you now to the Kickstarter, and that'll also. Yeah,
and I have the Kickstarter link. If you go to the description below, you'll find all of Robert's links to Facebook. I think I put Facebook, Twitter, and maybe Instagram, I think was the other one.
Yes.
And then the Kickstarter link is so the Kickstarter link is actually above your social media links.
Cool. Yeah. Well, go check it out. We got 2 days left, and the 2 days are always crazy. It's like everybody comes out, and it's just a wild roller coaster those last 48 hours, and that's what we've started. And thank you. I want to thank you, Cody. This is awesome.
Yeah,
this has
dude.
been the one component I've added, a lot more to this campaign, is going on podcasts and live streams and talking with people. And
does it make it a better experience for you? Do you feel
yeah. There were these like aha moments, and one of the aha moments is that I really enjoy this. and it's like, no wonder, because I'm a talker. I like to talk, and imagine that, going on a podcast and yapping about my comic is something that would be so much fun. So hey,
I'm a talker too, surprisingly enough. I love the cutting the shit with the boys is pretty much like, that's what I try to amplify, I guess. The feeling I'm trying to amplify with these podcasts is like just you and a bro just kind of breaking it down, chumming it up, and having fun.
Yeah.
But guys, with that being said, it is time for us to wrap things up. Check out that Kickstarter. If you're not able to back, be sure to share it with your friends, because you might know someone who might like it. They might back it, or they might have a friend who might back as well. It's just that chain of social media that is absolutely free to do, and it only takes a few seconds, so feel free to do that. With that being said, we are wrapping it up. Rapper, thank you for coming on. Everyone else, have a fantastic Wednesday, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.